Hi folks, it's Dennison Bertram, co-founder and CEO of tally.xyz. Today we need to talk about Anthropic and Coinbase, right? So over the holiday, there was a lot of talk on Twitter from Brian Armstrong, Jesse Pollak, and the Base team about what the Base app needs, what Coinbase should be focusing on, and how to make the ecosystem grow. People gave feedback, threads flew around, I chimed in a bit, but it took a while for something to really click for me. I don't think the core problem is a product market fit for creator coins. I think the core problem is that people don't actually have a reason to care if Coinbase wins. See, it's hard to root for a huge, successful company with wealthy investors, generally. Wanting them to win is not a really very natural human emotion. Nobody wakes up in the morning excited to cheer for Chevron or GM, and cheering for a big public company also feels like cheering for your bank. And Coinbase, for all its importance, has started to feel a lot like that. I rely on it. I've used it since Brian sent me 0.1 BTC early on to try the product. It's my primary exchange, and I appreciate that it works, and I rely on it. But actually rooting for it feels like saying, go Wells Fargo, go Chase. It's awkward, and it's not really how inspiration feels. So at the same time, Coinbase is pushing Base and the Base app really hard, especially the creator coin and Zora-driven vision, where every post, every moment, every vibe is a traded asset. And to me, that's where something breaks. See, creator coins as they exist today just don't feel like we're all going to make it mechanic. They feel like a game where a small number of people make it and a lot of people quietly lose. That's really a tough thing to build a culture around. And it's even a tougher thing to ask builders to emotionally rally behind. Contrast that with Anthropic, right? Anthropic is going to make its founders and early team unimaginably wealthy too. But the way they ship, the way they talk about using Claude to build Claude, the way they enable this new style of vibe coding where developers offload boilerplate and focus on ideas, it makes their success somehow feel like my success too. Every week they ship something that meaningfully expands what I can do as a creator or a developer, feels like I win. They win, my tools get better, my projects get cooler, and my life gets meaningfully more interesting. That's really the heart of this episode. Why Coinbase and Base, despite having all the right ingredients, a regulatory moat, incredible engineers, exchange, Base, OP stack profits, a serious L2, don't currently feel like something builders can love, and what it would take for Coinbase to become more like Anthropic in the ways that actually matter. Because if you think about it, these two companies aren't actually all that different. Both have a vision to change the world, and both need builders like us to really do it. And if Base wants builders to stick around, to really put in the late nights, to ship the next wave of apps, well, it has to give them more than a new way to speculate. It has to give them a story where Coinbase winning clearly means we all win too. So before getting into what Coinbase could be, it's worth looking at what it is right now. Coinbase isn't just a place to buy and sell Bitcoin anymore. It's a public company, a massive exchange, a custody provider, a derivatives venue, and now the operator of one of the most important Ethereum L2s. Base is not a toy chain. It's moving billions of dollars in value, and it has a profit-sharing deal with Optimism that funnels a slice back of its sequencers into the OP ecosystem and Coinbase's business, right? So it really means that every design choice on Base, what gets promoted, what gets productized, and what becomes the story isn't just about vibes. It's really about the economic gravity of where this L2 goes and where the whole business goes as well. Something that I've called out a few times, especially around the creator coin narrative, is it doesn't really feel like a very large TAM. It's strange to be leaning into things with the names like Keyboard Cat or other weird titles of meme coins that do millions of dollars of volume. It feels small for something as large as Coinbase. And in the last year, Coinbase has really leaned hard into a vision of Base that's built around creator coins and content coins. Through the Base app and the site's integration with Zora, the idea is that every post, every piece of content, every creator can have its own token and liquidity pool. In theory, that lets fans and creators share upside, and it ties social engagement to on-chain markets. I like this idea, and the way Jesse frames it, it really legitimately seems exciting. In practice, though, what we've seen so far is a lot of just speculative trading, a handful of big spikes, and then some very ugly crashes. Not the everything will be on-chain kind of vision. Right? The Nick Shirley token going from multi-million-dollar valuations to deep drawdowns in a matter of hours is a pretty stark example of who wins and who loses in that model. At the same time, you can feel the frustration from Base builders who aren't in on that creator coin orbit. right? They see official attention and distribution largely pointed towards Zora-aligned experiments, while other arguably more durable projects, payments, infra, DeFi tools, get a lot less love. When you're a developer who already helped bring users and liquidity to Brace, or you're building things that are really very legitimate and outside of niche or really short-lived speculative use case, suddenly the chain's flagship story is like a narrow band of speculative coins. It's really hard not to feel like the ground is shifted under your feet. And this is where I think the emotional core of the problem sits. First, creator coins are structurally hard to root for. When a new coin launches around a person, let's take Nick Shirley, most of the upside tends to go to the creator and the earliest buyers. Everyone who comes in late, especially anyone who buys because of hype or social pressure, is very likely just exit liquidity. That's just how these bonding curve and thin liquidity systems work. You might get a few good feel-good stories, but under the hood, it's just a bunch of P&L transfers between traders. That doesn't feel like we're all going to make it. It feels like a few of us made it and most of us didn't. Even worse, very often you actually see that the people participating are the same addresses or the same participants that have always participated in. And that doesn't really feel like a very good ecosystem to participate in. It feels like there's professional participants who are extracting value out of the consumers that I think Base is actually trying to support and target. Secondly, it makes Base feel less like neutral infrastructure and more like a house product. If the chain's big narrative is a corporate-backed app with favored partners and a built-in funnel to speculative assets, well, it stops feeling like a permissionless playground for builders. It starts feeling like a walled garden that just happens to be built on Ethereum. That's exactly the opposite kind of thing of what attracted a lot of people to crypto in the first place. Thirdly, it has the same energy as Coinbase's NFT marketplace era. There was massive hype, a polished product, and very low organic pull from the community. It didn't feel like it was solving a real problem for real users. It felt like a corporate answer to a grassroots movement. With Base app and creator coins, there's a real risk of replaying that script. Technically, yes, it's impressive, very well designed, but it's kind of emotionally flat for the people who are supposed to be building on top of it. So let's take it back. I wanted to compare Coinbase to Anthropic. So I want to flip the camera back over to Anthropic, right? Anthropic is on paper exactly the sort of thing people should resent. It's a heavily funded AI company. I'm sure every one of our queries burns trees and consumes all this water. It's backed by big names, and it's on a path to make its founders and early team unbelievably rich. But when you look at how they work and how they ship, the feeling is completely different. They use their own tools the way we use them. They talk openly about building Claude with Claude, about engineers who don't really type boilerplate anymore because they're vibe coding with the model. The new features aren't abstract. They show up as very concrete boosts to what an individual can build in a weekend. If you notice this holiday, this like past one that just went, Christmas and all that, Claude was really the main character, right? All these engineers were home from work, they were using it, and the latest Opus 4.5 really stole the show with everyone off from work. People loved it. So when Anthropic wins, you feel it directly. Suddenly, you can scaffold a full app in an afternoon. You can explore an idea that you might have shelved before because it's just too big for one person to do. You can share little workflows and snippets with other people who use Claude, and they get excited because what you show them is something they can put to work immediately. There's a tight feedback loop between their product roadmap and your personal capabilities. That's the key contrast. Anthropic's success and your success feel correlated, but Coinbase's success and your success really don't. Coinbase winning might mean higher revenue, a higher stock price, better compliance, more institutions, and all of that is important, especially to their business and bottom line, but it doesn't automatically translate into an I can build more magical things on Base, or my on-chain life just got more interesting. And if you're a builder, that's the gap where the inspiration dies, because Coinbase could be that place, right? And to me, this is actually an issue, because there used to be a time when Coinbase winning actually meant us builders and cryptos also were winning. Their successes were our successes. Brian, his baldness, his willingness to fight for the technology, that really meant everything to people. So when I say Coinbase should be more like Anthropic, I don't mean it should pivot to AI or pretend to be an underdog, right? Coinbase is a big, regulated, publicly listed financial company. The comparison is how it relates to its builders and to its ecosystem. It means making sure that every major Base initiative passes one simple test. Does this make individual builders and users obviously more powerful? Do they walk away from a new feature feeling like they just got a new superpower, or do they walk away feeling like they just got a new way to gamble? It means being visibly neutral and predictable in how the ecosystem is supported. Instead of aggressively pushing one narrative, creator coins, or one partner, it means building clear, transparent paths for any great project on Base to get surfaced, funded, and routed liquidity, whether or not it matches the current corporate storyline. And it means shipping things that are inspiring, not just extractive. Tools that lower the gas friction, new account models that make UX sense, payments that feel instant and global, on-chain identities that aren't just tickers. And don't get me wrong, Coinbase is doing all this, but the message isn't hitting the mark the way it could. Because really, from X402 payments to AI integrations to MPC wallets, Coinbase is doing this. It's just the creator coin focus, cheerleading politically controversial TikTokers and extractive token sales that, well, just really aren't it. It's a massive turnoff. The distraction that comes from owning memes that include pimping and squirting are a distraction from empowering real builders to feel like success here is a team sport. If Base can become the place where those kinds of primitives live, where the default experience of a builder is, I can do more here faster than anyone else, anywhere else, then Coinbase winning stops feeling like cheering for a bank and starts feeling like your own toolkit. Where does that leave us? Coinbase is not some scrappy startup anymore. It's a systemically important piece of crypto infrastructure with a profitable exchange and a fast-growing L2 in Base. It has the distribution, the engineering talent, and the regulatory position to be the place where the next generation of crypto apps are built. But right now, too much of the energy, in my opinion, on Base is flowing into a narrow, speculative creator coin loop that feels more like pump.fun in a corporate wrapper than a platform that empowers builders. Too many builders feel like they're competing with the chain's own favored narratives. Too many users feel like every interaction has a price tag, but not a purpose. Anthropic shows a different pattern. They ship in ways that make individual developers meaningfully more powerful. They live inside their own tools. They create a feedback loop where every win for the company obviously translates into better capabilities for the people using it. If Coinbase wants builders and users to root for Base, not just tolerate it, it needs to move in that direction. Shared upside instead of zero-sum games. Neutral infra instead of ecosystem favoritism. Inspiration instead of extraction. If you're a Base builder or someone at Coinbase or just a user with strong feelings about this, I'd love to hear from you. What would make you actually care if Coinbase wins? And what would it make Base feel like a place where we'd actually all gonna make it? So if you're a Base builder or someone at Coinbase or just a user with strong feelings about this, I'd love to hear from you. I think this conversation is critically important, not just for Coinbase, but all of the companies in the crypto space today that are winning in a way that we are so excited and grateful for.